Heya! I've been to the Inside Out too, so I decided it's time to hop on that hype train. I'll just tell my impression and overall opinion on this movie. There are a few sections and you can go to whichever you want. So, like a lot of people, I thought the sequel to The Inside Out wasn't really necessary. Like, the first part is really a self-sufficient movie that tells a story that works well on its own. It doesn't need a more thorough world building or whatever. And moreover, there was no premise for the sequel. It has never been implied that there can be other emotions and other stuff that came up in the sequel. There are even some logical inconsistencies in the first movie, now that we know some details from the second one. So yeah, I kinda had that small little prejudice when going to the cinema. With that said, I was impressed. I love the direction they chose. A more realistic conflict, more and better thought out characters, and overall, more saturated world. The story here is surely interesting. It is eventful enough, has its turns, and can be understood by anyone. It is not convoluted, and it doesn't need to be. We all can relate to Riley. The situations presented occur in the real world. As I've said, the plot here is more consistent and logical than in the original movie. I will not spoil anything here, but it really feels like everything that happens does so for a reason. Well, not exactly everything. There are some flaws, some big ones, but mostly it does, whether in Riley's mind or the real world. There is not much to add other than the story also teaches a lesson, a pretty valuable one. I would even say personal. The best part is, I would say, the dialogues and the characters. They're all funny and unique in their own way. Almost every scene has some sort of funny interaction. As an example, I really like the sarcasm abyss scene from the trailer. It's also worth noting that none of the characters is annoying. Everyone is either chill or emotional in a good way. I also love how the dialogues were all over the place, and it felt like each scene had those, which, don't get me wrong, is good. And I'm pretty sure the trailer scenes have been playing this whole time, and it's impossible to ignore the visuals. They are absolutely mind-blowing. The colors are bright, yet pleasant. The textures are extremely high quality. It all looks so close to the real world, it's insane. The locations are all impeccably designed. These tiny little elements forming them, it all looks fantastic. And I also love that most scenes take place in dark areas, which makes it possible to highlight that little glow coming out of each emotion. And this, in particular, is a huge step forward from the first movie, where the daylight didn't work well at all in my opinion. It only made the movie feel more generic. People here also look really good. I mean, really. Too good, actually. Overall, the visuals are top-notch, and it feels like they've been worked on the most. It is really fascinating how much better the sequel looks in comparison to the original. It is really head and shoulders above almost each aspect. Well, yeah, just look at the budget, and also it's Pixar, so... The soundtrack and the sound effects are as important, and it's all good here. When the original theme played at the end, I was like, yeah, that is some good stuff. Now it's time to talk about some more flaws. Firstly, and maybe that's not exactly a flaw, but it is pretty similar to the original. There are some highly alike parts. Particularly there's one in the middle with the balls, which is supposed to make the viewer feel sad. But it's like, I've already seen this, what am I supposed to feel? And even on its own, it doesn't do its job that well. And that is also the second problem. Emotional scenes usually don't work here. I didn't feel the intended despair and tension during those. Maybe I'm just a psycho, but there were no hooks. Nothing that would make me feel truly alive. So, should you watch Inside Out 2? You absolutely should. It is a fantastic movie throughout most of the aspects. It has a consistent plotline, astonishing visuals, great soundtrack, cool characters, great dialogues. It is fairly simple, it's easy to understand, it teaches you a lesson, it feels wholesome, it's never boring, it's eventful enough. It has great action scenes, cool callbacks, all of the parts timeline-wise are great, the finale here is especially powerful. Overall, it is great. The current rating at IMDb is too low, honestly. I'd rate it 8.5 or 8.7 out of 10. Is the existence of this movie as a sequel justified though? I think yes. It did its job on a really high level. And even though humanity could have lived without it, I'm still glad it came. So yeah, that was my quick review. I'm not sure about the approach, and I have no feedback to base upon, so I just made whatever I could. Great reasoning, thank you. Hope you at least somewhat enjoyed it. And so, hopefully, I'll see you next time.